Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Podcast Strikes Back. My name is George and you're listening to the weekly movie show with the boy Connor.
Hello.
And Benny.
Hello.
He's back.
Welcome
Hi,
back,
guys.
Connor.
He's returned.
Hi.
Hello. How you feeling, man? How's
everybody.
the trip?
Trip was good. Back to the motherland.
Yep. Back on Australian turf. Good stuff. Little
I
trip
was saying
over.
I went back to the motherland.
Oh, he went back. Yep.
But
Back
also
to
that, I suppose,
Canada.
either way, because we realized that I'm coming up to next year will be my half and half, where I will have spent half my life in Canada and half my life in Australia.
Oh,
Cool.
Then you have to make a decision.
Not really. It's pretty clear cut. I'll let you
glad the
decide
trip-
which it is.
Glad the trip went well, friendo. We missed you a ton, particularly with the Aquaman review.
We'll get into that.
So let's catch up on what everyone's been watching.
Yeah. No. I'm going to let you guys go first because what I think we should do is I'm going to go through a bunch of the movies that I watched while I was over there. And by over there, I mean on the plane over there. And then I'll finish off with Aquaman. And then we can kind of launch into a bit of a discussion around that. So,
Okay.
Cool.
George, why don't you go first?
I mean, we prepared for you to go first, so
We discussed this.
shit, I'll,
We?
yeah. I asked you
mean
just
you?
then. I just asked you then when we started.
Well, I
was like,
probably
I'm
wasn't
you
listening.
first. Yeah,
I was
clearly.
not listening.
It's playing with your hat.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. That works for me.
All right. Let me
Is it 'cause you
search
don't
the
know
memory
anything?
banks. No. I watched half of Justice League.
Why?
So-
I remember you. Wait. Who
Not,
was
not
it
to cut
that
you off, I watched it
messaged
as
us?
well with a commentary from a podcast I love. So
Okay.
not proper watching. But
Whoa. Mind blowing.
Yeah.
Like that first scene where Superman comes up, Henry Cavill, and his
The
mouth
first
moving
shot
everywhere.
of the film, literally the first shot of the
So
film.
jarring.
And then it moves into Batman in Gotham with the parademon, and it's literally like a cartoon. Like he holds on to the parademon goes flying off, and they're flying around Gotham.
They land back on the same roof.
and they land straight back down on the exact same roof.
Sorry, roof. Terrible set.
Yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
those two
Was it a
scenes
roof?
really encapsulate Justice League.
And then as well, early on, the Themyscira scene is one of the... I actually texted you guys while watching. It's like one of the worst things I've ever seen in a big film.
I distinctly remember being in the cinema and just like I just remember the feeling of thinking, what the fuck is going on here? Like it was kind of disbelief at this point. I was like, there's no way that it's this bad this soon into the film.
I saw it a few weeks before release, and I honestly couldn't wait to go on opening day just to see it with you guys and watch your reactions. I remember I was looking at you when Henry Cavill first popped up, and you were both just like, "Oh,
I was like,
what?
what? Something's weird about
pranking
this.
us
Like,
somehow?"
what the fuck? Yeah. So that was decidedly
jokes.
odd.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Decidedly odd.
What made you?
Ash chucked
that?
it on, and I just kind of was like, I guess I'm going to sort of zone in and out of this. And
Have
didn't
you filed the
immediately-
divorce papers yet? or-
yeah, well, I mean... Anyway, I also watched The Founder with Michael Keaton, the
Okay.
biopic.
That's the McDonald's
Yeah, the
biopic one,
McDonald's,
right?
yeah.
Ray Kroc.
I really enjoyed this,
Good
and
stuff.
I think compared to a lot of other biopics, the performance really shone through.
Yeah, he created a real character out of this, whereas most people it's just imitation or something. It was very easy to watch.
I loved his progression of the character and where it goes. Initially, you're on his side, and then it kind of evolves, and it's just really, really solid film to chuck on for Netflix.
And it's an interesting story, not like just
Really
kind of on its
interesting.
own. So
Fascinating story about how he saw the vision of these guys and they scaled it.
And kind of amazing how it was allowed to be made, given it's one of the top 3 biggest brands in the world.
yeah.
And it just they somehow were able to do it with full-on McDonald's.
And it seemed to kind
in
of
it. And
fly under the radar a little bit. I don't think this is sort of talked about in Michael Keaton.
I think there was a bit of awards buzz at first. I don't think it ended up going anywhere
sort
with
of
that. But
come and gone pretty quick.
I think I saw a little bit of it on the media campaign, and then the real kind of push for me was I heard about it from word of mouth, which is I think where it got most of its
Nice.
kind of
And I watched something else, but it is escaping me right now, so I'm going to flick it
Pass
over to
it
you,
on to
Benny,
Ben.
and I'm going to try and remember.
Cool. I checked out so what I did a couple of weeks ago was I wrote up a list of all of the most kind of interesting or talked about or just any particular thing stood out to me movies of the past 5 years or so that I haven't seen.
Nice.
You know those ones that you always hear coming out of Fantastic Fest or South by Southwest. You're like, I want to check that out. Then it never gets an Australian release. Doesn't show up on Netflix. You just don't see it.
Yep.
So I just went through like all of my top favorite reviewers, like top 10s of the past bunch of years. And anyway, so I wrote a list of like 60 movies that I've been meaning to check out.
Wow.
So I guess that's a New Year's resolution.
Yeah,
I'll be talking about these every week. So I chucked a couple on this week. I watched Murder Party, which just happened to be on Netflix. Notable for being David Saulnier's first film, the director of Green Room and Hold the Dark. Very, very first film. Like, it looked like it had a budget of $0. But some really, really clear talent shining through. Like, it's amazingly shot. And tonally, it's this really goofy movie that turns incredibly violent at points. Pretty funny. If you go into watching the context of like, this is someone who just got out of film school, maybe.
Yeah.
It's very enjoyable.
Yeah, nice.
And I also checked out a very strange one, really hard to kind of pin down, like even what genre it is. Personal Shopper, starring Kristen Stewart. I hadn't heard of this film at all. You guys probably haven't.
No.
It's a weird like drama, mystery, thriller, horror in parts as well, but not like overall. Like individual parts they all feel like different genres. Really interesting movie.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of people would come out of it and absolutely hate it, but I found it. I managed to stay awake. it's a bit slow and drawn out, but it was really interesting and well worth a watch if you're looking for something a bit more experimental.
Nice.
Yeah. And I also watched all or some of Thor, Ant-Man, Avengers 1 and Avengers 2. So a bit of a Marvel week.
Okay, cool.
They've just been playing in my house. So that's all been fun.
Yeah,
Nice.
I watched Gone Girl.
Fuck yes.
Fuck,
Not
man.
for the first time or?
Nah, third or fourth.
Okay.
Yeah, masterpiece.
Maybe
hell of
even
a
the
movie.
fifth. Holy crap. I think I got it even more this time. Like I really got the structure a little bit more. And the themes in this, it's so dense. It talks about the media. It talks about modern relationships. It talks about so many things. Power dynamics.
I reckon that might be possibly the best like quasi blockbuster of the past like 5 years. Like in terms of something that scale and that did that well. That's fucking that movie is so good.
It is just like I feel like there's not an ounce of fat on that movie. It is so beautifully put together.
It's really impressive because it's not a short movie.
No, it's about 220.
Yeah,
230.
Like to have a movie that feels cut down but is actually that long is really like that's a feat.
Yeah. And then I went on this whole Trent Reznor tirade where I was just listening to all these interviews, him talking about the process of scoring Gone Girl, and just love hearing about him working with David Fincher and all those kind of things. I think because we were talking about this in the Bird Box review. Go check that out, guys. They scored, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross scored that, and it didn't sound characteristic of them. So that kind of prompted me to go watch Gone Girl. But yeah, had a fantastic time. Highly recommend it. One of the all-time greats, I think. How about you, Connor? Give us your list.
Right, here we go. All right, I've caught up on a couple that I think that were a long time coming, and then there's a couple of other ones that were ones that I wouldn't have probably gone out of my way to see, but they were there, so I went and checked them out. One of the things I did do is and I'll get this out of the way first, is I rewatched Deadpool 2, which is something that I wasn't sure I was going to do. Having done that, I think that I can't remember how we kind of left the review. I feel like we were fairly harsh on it.
I think we're sort of middling,
yeah. And I
think we were more positive, and then as time has gone on, sort of my review has sort of gone down a little bit.
It's very rewatchable, is what I'll say about that. There is still the same problems that were there when we reviewed it. And for anyone that's interested, go check that out. But it is very rewatchable because there's a lot of good scenes in that I think hold up to the test of time. So I'll leave that there. One of the more important ones that I did watch was Black Klansman, finally.
Nice.
Really impressed with that film. It was, for Spike Lee, an incredibly subtle film. I will say for Spike Lee, because I didn't feel like things were being like really shoved down my throat. Although some of the connections were not too poignant, but they were getting there. Kind of like those moments where someone would say something and then everyone just stops and like turns to the screen, breaks the fourth wall, and be like, eh?
It's like what's set in the 70s, and there are literal scenes where they pretty much are like, fuck Trump.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. do you get what we're doing here? Do you get it? But I mean, it didn't really bother me because I tend to agree with some
Fuck Trump.
yeah, exactly. So it's I wasn't egregiously offended, but there would be a lot of people that would watch that would probably wouldn't watch it to begin with. I'll be honest. Spike Lee called Black Klansman.
Yeah.
Maybe some people that
Unless they were seriously confused about
Do you reckon
what
they would
the
have made
movie
your
was
top
about.
10?
I'd have to think about what my top 10 were. I almost forgot what my top 10 were. It might have, yeah. I think that
Didn't you have like Rampage in your top 10? Surely you could bump that out.
if
I don't think
I didn't have it in my top 10.
Honorable mention, I believe.
Yeah, it was. It would have been probably fairly close, if
Cool.
not in the top 10.
Yeah. Nice.
So Black Klansman. I watched Mile 22, which is that Mark Wahlberg film. I was very meh about it.
Everyone else was too, I think.
There were some cool concepts, but altogether a very poorly put together film. One of those films that was a bit jarring in the way that it provided context and just kind of plot conflict and things like that.
Was that like a Peter Berg?
Yeah.
movie?
Peter Berg.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Our boy Peter.
It's just fucking Mark Wahlberg action movie. It's got to be
Yeah.
a Peter Berg one.
I
I like the premise of that. Shame it's not.
What was the premise?
the premise from the what I thought it was going into it was that there was an agent that had defected, and that they had to basically get from point A to point B action film, which it was, and if you like gunfights, then it's pretty good, and it's fairly non-relenting with the way that it portrays that in a lot of ways, and I think it's pretty accurate in the way that it portrays some of the pros and cons is the wrong word, but I can't think of it. Like some of the pitfalls and the kind of real world behind the curtains of service people that are in that kind of environment.
Sure.
As vague as I can say that.
Did you know it's just
but very meh.
on a tangent? Did you guys know that Trent Reznor has worked with Peter Berg on that? What was that one? Deep Water or Dark Water? Or,
Deepwater Horizon.
Yeah.
Is it Deepwater Horizon?
I
they
haven't-
scored that.
I haven't watched it, but I've heard from a number of people that is a surprisingly good and like emotionally rich film.
Okay.
Which completely took me off guard, but wouldn't surprise me because didn't Peter Berg do Lone Survivor as well?
Possibly.
someone
Let me
else?
check it out.
It was a Mark Wahlberg action
Didn't
film.
he
so you
do
can-
Battleship?
He did.
Oh, did he?
That's
Fuck Peter
confirmed.
Berg. I hate that duo for the simple reason
Yeah,
that
he
they
did do
seem
Lone
to
Survivor.
they seem to like capitalize on American tragedy and that fucking. I don't like that style of patriotism. It just kind of weirds me out. But Lone Survivor was really good, so
Nice.
it wouldn't surprise me that Deepwater Horizon would actually also be good. So.
Okay.
Anyways, Mile 22, very meh. I also watched Crazy Rich Asians.
Cool.
A lot of hype around this film. It was, I mean, I don't know what I expected going in. It was a perfectly acceptable rom-com,
Yeah.
just with Asian people in it. Like that was
Pretty much.
Really enjoyed the comic relief, and I can't remember her name to save my life.
Aquafina.
Sure.
She is hilarious.
She's brilliant in this.
The friend, yeah?
Yeah, the friend. So good. Every scene that she was in, I was so on board
She's
with.
cast in Jungle Book 2.
Oh, yeah.
Jungle
cool.
Book? Jumanji
okay.
2. Same
Very
shit.
much a fan of
Mowgli
of her.
3.
I also watched Equalizer 2, which I thought was, again, a lot better than I thought it had any right to be, which is very much how I felt about the first one. It was, in all the ways that I thought it would be, incredibly ridiculous and bad. But I felt like that was an advantage going in, knowing that was going to happen. Like the whole lift thing was so fucking silly. But, it was an entertaining film.
It's fun. It's way too long, I think. But
Yeah.
So I think the first one was tighter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like the end when he turns into the fucking Terminator. Like that's that's cool.
It's always good, right?
Yeah.
I also watched Bad Times at the El Royale.
Missed that one.
Yeah. It's a good film, I think.
Less than the sum of its parts is how I came away from that one.
That would probably be the best way to describe
complete
it.
flip of Cabin in the Woods, which I think was more than the sum of its parts.
Exactly like that. It's just there's all these like individual little stories that you thought, oh, these are cool, or that you got something out of each individual one. But as a whole, when it's finished, you're kind of like, huh,
Oh, that was it.
all right, I guess that's where we're gonna finish that off.
Hemsworth is great.
He's
But
always
he was
great.
really terrific.
But I really enjoyed him in this.
And also, have you seen Widows? No.
Not yet.
Oh, well, then this is annoying because each of you have seen one of the movies I'm talking about. It's just the singer in Bad Times at El Royale was also the late addition to the team in Widows.
Oh.
Yeah,
and
she's really good.
Unrecognizable from film to film. Okay,
Cool.
in one she just plays a soul singer in a really beautiful emotional performance. In the other she plays an absolute badass. Some of the biggest muscles I've ever seen on film. It blew my mind when I found out the same person. Anyway,
Yeah, right. Wow.
good year for her.
Transformative.
Yeah.
Okay, got that one. I also watched The Meg. I don't know if either of you had a chance to dial that in.
It's a megalodon.
Yeah. Did you watch that, Ben?
No.
I actually kind of recommend it.
Yeah?
It's a lot of fun.
Most people were really into it.
buy
Yeah.
that.
I mean, if you went into
Executes
that
the premise
movie,
well, right?
if you went into that movie and expected anything other than what it was, then that is completely on you. I mean, it's surprisingly good looking for what, I don't even know what the budget on that. It must have been
Let's have a look.
pretty serious.
I think what most people got caught up on was the fact that they turned down the violence so substantially. Like even the director was pretty pissed about that, I think.
I can see that there would have definitely been room to add a little bit more kind of gore and that in that style of film for sure.
130 million.
130 million. Wow. Yeah.
That's
All
not
right.
cheap.
Well, that makes sense then. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because this thing looked really good. Do you know what it
Story
made?
130 million.
530 million.
130 million and $1.
Yeah.
530.
530. It's
good.
Okay.
Yeah, solid.
Yeah. Look, it's a thoroughly enjoyable film. Like there's I recommend.
I reckon I'll enjoy
dialing
that
it in.
one.
You will. Yeah. And finally, much to my disappointment, I tried watching Teen Titans. Go to the movies.
Didn't you already watch that?
No, Ben watched that and then
You
recommended
watched it, George.
No,
recommended
I
it to
swear
us.
to God you watched that.
No,
Titans or Teen Titans?
Teen Titans. Go to the
Go to the
movies.
movies.
I am tripping out right now.
You
I
are.
swear to God
He's definitely
you've
not
watched
saying
this.
I mean, I don't
Okay,
want to speak
maybe
for you,
not.
Connor, but I don't think
Okay,
you've watched
my
it.
bad. My bad.
I mean, while we're at it, I also watched the first half of Attack on Titan. But at any rate, I tried, and I don't know whether it was just the mood I was in, but I got really tight. Like it was just too childish. I don't know what I went in expecting, but the way that you described it made me think that I was just going to be laughing out loud, and it was a lot of like fart jokes, which I guess was the whole point of it, is that it is really childish humor, but I think that it just wasn't quite to the point where I was like actually enjoying it. I just kept waiting for it to get good. And then like halfway through, I was like, I can't do this.
I described it as sort of like a bumper episode of Powerpuff Girls or...
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Did you
no,
make it
I
the whole
enjoyed
way
it.
through?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. See,
I
just
found
couldn't
it,
do
but I didn't like it as much as Benny. But I that nostalgia that I have from watching those Cartoon Network, things from the 90s, sort of.
And
I don't
maybe
know, that helped me get through
Maybe
it.
if
Or
I'd been in that mind space, but like, Headspace.
MySpace?
Yeah, Mindspace. It's our new
Mindspace.
social media. But yeah, this was just, I don't know. It kind of annoyed me. And then I just turned it off. Yeah, so that's...
I
what
saw
watched.
2 minutes of Maniac. It was Justin Theroux getting jerked off by a machine. So that was fun.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
That's a good week, man. That's a really good
That was,
week.
it definitely sold me on the show. I
Yeah.
won't be coming back.
That's called a
And-
segue from Teen
And
Titans.
finally, we have Aquaman. So I watched Aquaman actually last night, and then I listened to your guys' review last night and today. And I'm just going to go right off the bat and say I don't hate this film.
Nice.
So I'm not coming
Uh-oh.
against you like... I'm not...
I don't hate
What
film. I
happened
just
to you
hate
in
you
Canada,
two.
man? What happened in Canada,
really
bro?
hate you.
He's gone all zen.
Yeah. I'm not going to be drawn into this conflict anymore. I love all things equally. But you two were very, very lenient on this film, and I think that was almost too lenient. Although I understand, I'm so back and forth on this. I understand why, because when I think back on it, the things that were good about this film were so good that I'm like, that's what really jumps out at me.
I think
that and a couple other things.
find if we go and see a movie and we go and do a review straight away, I will probably be more lenient. If it waits a couple more days, it'll be more of a measured.
You feel like
approach.
the movie might still be listening, and
I'm
might
like,
still be in
James
earshot,
Wan,
you
I
know?
love
I
you.
also just watched it last night, so I mean, like, I'm not suffering from
fair.
that. If I'm going downhill from here, it's probably not going to be good.
But your second viewing of it, Benny,
Drag a little more, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was drinking for that one, so
I will say, whoever wrote the dialogue for that film should be shot. That is some pretty clunky dialogue. Like, that's, I mean, no, not good. There's a lot of lines that just.
Well, I'm not going to an Aquaman movie for, like, you know, a Coen Brothers.
But see, this is the thing.
Script, you know.
So, and this is one of the things that you guys mentioned in your review, and I half agree with, in that there's levels of entertainment in a film, and there's good films, and we talk about this all the time. But I don't think that you have to sacrifice one for the other. You can have both, and I think that it needs to be kind of ranked accordingly. So this was a movie that was entertaining, but had a lot of things that really undercut that entertainment. And there's a lot of things that this movie could have done very easily that wouldn't have sacrificed that entertainment, that would have made it a better film. And I think that if there had been a little bit more care and attention to the way that just some of the scenes and some of the clunkiness of the dialogue and some of the clunkiness of, like, the plot mechanics had been just ironed out a little bit, I think that this movie could have really just kind of bumped itself up. And it's a lot of the same issues that I had with Wonder Woman, which was that this was at its core a really cool movie, but there were little things that they should have been able to fix that would have really just gone miles.
it's like when you see when they're working at the top of the game, it's like, why is the rest of this happening? Like,
well, exactly.
How did the same film that have this bit have this bit?
Yeah, and I mean that this is a film that that visually is some of the best visuals that I've seen in terms of design.
Not according
and
to the Oscars.
Execution. And he got pissed off that he got snubbed on that, which I think
It's
is
a fucking
fair.
disgrace. Yeah, totally.
I think it's completely fair.
Totally.
Like,
Do you see some of the other shortlisted films in there?
No, I didn't even.
It was
look.
like no fucking.
Let's have a look.
Marwan is in there. That new
Are you
Steve
fucking
Carell.
kidding me?
Marwan is in there. That new Robert Zemeckis one that literally
Zemeckis
everyone
is
hates.
in the back pockets of all the Oscar
Who
else is in there?
board and
Welcome
whatnot.
to Marwan. There's a couple other ones that just aren't even
VFX,
special effects films.
Oscars, no,
And
2018.
it's not. I'm not to say they did a bad job,
Yeah.
but the scale of this
And
surely
I mean,
has got to count for
I
something.
don't think that this movie should be disqualified because, like, it wasn't perfect all the way through. Although I think that the facial the facial de-aging, I was a lot more lenient on that than I think you guys were.
I feel like if Black Panther's in there, this should be in there.
Oh, I mean, easily.
And Black Panther is in there. All three Marvel movies from this
Black
year.
Panther should not be in there for special effects.
All right, here we
I
go.
mean, that's
Visual
just silly.
effects: Ant-Man and the Wasp, Infinity War, Black Panther, Christopher Robin,
Yeah.
First Man, Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, Mary Poppins Returns, Ready Player One, Solo: A Star Wars Tale, and Welcome to Marvel.
Okay, so the only two that matter are Infinity War and Solo, I think.
Yep.
To me,
and
those
if-
qualify for
I'll be
sure.
perfectly
Also, First
honest,
Man was pretty
if
impressive as
Infinity War doesn't win, then that's a crock of shit because that movie, effects wise,
Yeah, it
was
should
like
be.
flawless.
Should be.
I think Solo is some of the best ever committed to screen, though, as
Yeah,
well.
I
But
agree.
in
I wouldn't
this
be angry
film,
with that. And that movie could use one thing.
Yeah. So I thought this film was really good. Like there was like little with a hair underwater. I thought that was really impressive. But there were little moments where I was like, well, that's weird. Particularly with Momoa's beard. That there was moments that
His
wigged me out.
moustache is so long. that
Yeah,
there were parts
and
where
then
it's
it
like,
just- yeah. And I was like, I don't think that's meant to move like that. Don't do that again.
Oh.
It was just kind of do this. I was like, no. Really love the relationship between him and his dad. And this is what kind of pissed me off about the movie. There were genuinely good emotional like moments in this film that I thought were like just generally squandered by the clunky editing and the kind of the plot mechanics that got in the way of that. I think again it's one of those cases of something that was so close to being really amazing that the inadequacies kind of stick out like a sore thumb in that sense.
I'm the opposite. I feel like the good stuff sort of smears and puts those bad things to the background because I feel like it's a very fast-paced film. Whenever something bad happens, you're pretty quickly on to something fantastic.
Yeah.
So it kind of gets away with it. I will say the structure of it is still something that sticks in my head, like the plot mechanics. I'm with you there. It's either, you know, they do the Indiana Jones bit, they do it's kind of a little bit all over the place, but it holds together quite nicely. And I think the box office reflects how
they're close
amazing.
to $1 billion, aren't they? Or above them?
They've eclipsed Justice League's whole box office run in 3 weeks.
Good.
So I think a way of contextualizing this film, and I don't disagree with anything you said, but just a way of making your own experience of it work a bit better is to come at it as I think how I did subconsciously, which is thinking this is a Fast and Furious film set in the DCEU.
Totally.
So under that criteria, it's like, yeah, this is big and dumb and fun, and it's better than most of the other ones that have come before. Like if you're watching it, comparing it to those other fucking movies, you're like, this could be worse. I could be watching Justice League right now. So yeah, completely. Any criticism of Aquaman is completely valid because Lord knows there's any number of angles you can take on it.
Yep.
But I won't be rushing back to see it again, maybe ever. But I enjoyed it a bit.
I'm actually keen to see it again just for the good parts, but I'm worried that when I do, I'll run into the same problem that you've run into, which is that the bad parts will lag, and I'll suddenly kind of go like, oh, is this worth the overall experience? I will say one thing that you guys didn't mention and I thought was pretty funny, and I don't know whether they did this intentionally at all, but the old mate Kiwi actor,
Tamura Morrison.
Yeah, he has a line at the beginning, which was, I was just going to cook you some eggs. And I had a laugh out loud moment because he's very famous for being in an old Kiwi film called We Once Were Warriors, where one of his more notable lines is, cook the man some fucking eggs. So I had a good laugh at that, as I don't know whether they did that intentionally as a throwback.
That's cool. I like those little references.
Yeah. Or if it was just a coincidence. Either way, it's brilliant.
His accent was so...
It was so weird, wasn't it?
It's terrible.
Although, to be honest, I kind of, when I thought about it, it would make sense for a Kiwi to be living in the States to have this kind of weird hybrid accent.
Totally. That's how I always actually look at bad accents in films. 'Cause I'm just like, people have weird accents.
Yeah.
But
my accent is not Canadian.
Yeah, yours is fucked
not,
up, man.
Yeah.
It's
It's not Canadian. It's not Australian. Like there's
and it's a little bit Irish.
Apparently. So I'm told. So yeah, the other thing I was going to mention is Amber Heard. I cannot state how much I do not like Amber Heard. I just don't think. Maybe it's just I haven't seen the right films that she's in, but I don't think she's a talented actor at all.
I agree.
Yeah, and in this, it's no different. I found the relationship between those two very strained. I didn't like the dialogue between them. It made zero, like her just appearing out of the water like that. I was like, nah, this is weird. I don't like it.
Almost round the board, the casting, especially when you compare to the MCU, the casting of the DCEU is just really average.
Apart from Momoa, who I think is a brilliant cast as Aquaman.
I don't think that either. I think he's just playing Momoa, and he's incredibly charming. So it's a good.
Which is what I mean by it.
He's a good screen presence, but I mean, as casting for Aquaman in one of these things.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it, man, because I was a little bit worried that you were maybe going to have a bit of a Venom sort of. I think this is
better than Venom.
This is better than Venom for sure. And I really look forward to watching it again. I think I like it the most out of everyone here. I've got a soft spot for it for some reason. I'm really, really keen to watch it again.
I think
because it was a 2-hour plus movie that didn't make you want to claw your eyes out. And you're like, it's a
you
miracle.
Gone Girl, Aquaman. This has been a crazy week.
I would probably put money on the fact that if you watch it again, those moments that
for sure
will drag.
Yes.
Never watch it on Netflix or anything.
Why?
Watch it on the biggest screen possible.
Yeah.
Don't watch it on TV. You'll be like,
and don't watch it here.
What about the soundtrack? I thought the soundtrack was one of the the sound.
Well, don't fucking watch it here because you won't be able to hear the soundtrack.
What did you think of the soundtrack? I thought that was one of the strongest elements.
I
of that.
really
loved
liked it.
The soundtrack.
I really liked it, and I liked the sound design as well. There was a moment when they were doing that chase scene over the tops of Italy or wherever they were. There was a bit of a generic, like, I can't even think of the noise, but it's like that wah 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 noise.
Is it dubstep?
Yeah, it's a pretty generic. Like I felt like
I think
that
it's a
was kind
Pitbull song you're talking about.
Yeah. That annoyed me a little bit, but and this kind of slides into one of the coolest scenes of this film. Again, I can't do bloody spoilers. I shouldn't be talking about this film at all. Is all I will say is the trench scene.
Oh, damn.
I reckon that movie from Sicily onwards is a complete blast.
Oh my God, that scene in particular.
Like, there's nothing bad about that. The rest of the film that hasn't already been established as bad from the get-go. So yeah, I reckon that whole chunk of it is fantastic.
Yeah,
no, that's a killer movie.
That's
man.
half the movie.
That's a killer movie.
That's the best movie of 2019.
And again, this is where I'm going to stop it. Like
the moments are just so good.
Are so good.
And
there's
the
also
broader
moments that are
average
just
brings
like,
the broader average brings it down, but the moments are fantastic.
I think for me, this movie is about missed opportunity. Like when I think about it, it's like there's so much.
I think it's about course correction. And do you think this is? Is this your number one DCEU film?
See, I'm not nearly as hard on Man of Steel as the two of you.
Yeah, but have you watched it recently? When was the last time you watched
you always
it?
say that. I'm not either. That's the only competition for me.
Let's do one. Let's do a screening.
It's not too long ago that I saw it.
Because I'd be down to see where everyone's at now with where the DCU's at and whatnot.
Just because it's more fresh in my memory, this might be better. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Man of Steel is still the most legitimate film, I think, in the DCEU.
Yeah, probably.
It has the best trailer, so
best trailer ever made. Anyway, let's get into the news.
Holy crap! Yeah, that was a long one.
That's been our Aquaman review again.
Boom.
You are gonna have a hell of a time combing through that to see what you need to edit out for spoilers.
No, it's all right. No, everyone
should be right.
Should be a lot of money. Anyway, first up, I wanted to segue from this a second ago, but we had a little more chat. Sony is officially moving ahead with Venom 2. Shock. Horror.
Can you believe it? One of the best ROI films of 2018. They're going ahead with a sequel.
Fifth highest grossing film of 2018.
Crazy.
Yeah, so we all knew this, but now we know for sure. And just a note, Kelly Marcel, one of the screenwriters from the first movie, is going to write it.
And Fleischer's not potentially coming back at this stage?
No word
news
on his involvement.
So my main concern with this is that I feel like Venom was a bit of a fluke in terms, like, I don't think it was a good film.
Agreed.
But I think the good things about this film were not intentional. And I think that if they just put this on Tom Hardy, that it's not really going to work. So I think this is probably, ironically, the worst thing that Sony can do. Is, I mean, it was inevitable that it was going to happen, but I feel like this will be the downfall of Venom. Prove me wrong, Sony.
The other option is just not to make one. So
that
would also be the downfall.
I think it's. I don't think it'll be the downfall of Venom necessarily just on that criteria. It makes complete sense that they're going ahead with this. I think it's a good move. It'd be interesting to see where they go with this and what kind of angle they'll take, because they had a very definitive through line with Venom 1, and they really rested on, Tom Hardy's shoulders and him and the Eddie Brock character integrating with Venom. That's kind of like the origin story. How will it go with where can they go with Venom 2? What can they explore? I mean,
Woody
you got
Harrelson's
Carnage.
wig.
You got Carnage. That's, I mean, yeah, but that post-credit scene. I'm just remembering it now, that wig. Far
Woody
out.
Harrelson's wig is the worst film of 2018.
It's like a Ronald McDonald wig, wasn't it?
He looks like Pippi Longstocking. It's so fucking weird.
Bizarre is what it was.
So hopefully they trim him down, make him look a little bit more badass. Yeah. And if we get a Venom Carnage, hey, potential for some good stuff here. Potential.
I mean, there's always potential for a movie to be good.
There's always potential for a movie to be bad.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, like, what I'm saying is that's not saying much. I think it'll more than likely be bad.
Yeah, I'm on record as saying I think the good parts of Venom,
Sorry.
the good parts of Venom, such as they were, felt very intentional to me. It felt like they slipped through the studio system. Like, it felt like the studio wanted to crush that movie into something completely different. But I think the some of the creatives involved at least had an interesting idea of what to do with that movie, and hopefully the writer who's staying on is one of them. I wouldn't mind seeing Fleischer come back either. I think he's got some talent when he's allowed to kind of work, like Zombieland. And I will happily sit down to watch 2 hours of just Tom Hardy being a fucking nutcase again.
I feel
I
like
would watch that without Venom in it.
I feel like Venom and Aquaman are almost like stepping stones for both the DCEU and the Sunk. They're almost like Aquaman in a lot of ways is almost like test and learn. Like, let's throw as much shit here, see what works, and reiterate. Maybe that wasn't the plan, but potentially. And same thing with Venom. What did work? What didn't work? And let's try and take it up to the next level. They'll probably throw some more dollars at it. I think Venom was about 50 million production budget. I'm sure they'll make it 80, 100. That's similar to Deadpool. Yeah. Deadpool sort of doubled in budget or added another 30 million on top. So I think something like that will happen. And I'm excited, but there's not much here really to latch onto.
Totally. Because there's just two ways this can go, and we have no idea which it'll be, which is the studio realizes this is a really valuable property, so they get much more involved than they were in the first one even. Or they were like, these guys who made the first one did something right. Let's maybe give them more freedom this time.
Let them go for it.
Yeah, like hopefully they'll just read some fucking reviews and realize that they're the most hated part of this whole formula. Anyway, fingers crossed. I would love to see like a good Venom film because I think the ingredients are there.
Me too. Next up.
This one's for you, Georgie.
Yeah.
Deadpool helmer Tim Miller and David Fincher, the greatest of all time, have teamed up to create an animated anthology series aimed at adults, titled Love, Death, and Robots for Netflix. The series will be a collection of 18 animated short stories that span the science fiction, fantasy, horror, and comedy genres.
It sounds similar to that Blomkamp project that he was releasing.
His little short
his short films.
Similar to that. But obviously this is only animation.
Which I love.
I'm so excited for this.
Very keen to see Fincher working with animation.
Fincher, he's really latched on and created a fantastic relationship with Netflix with House of Cards and Mindhunters. And then he also did that amazing intro to Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which I think every TV show rips off for their intros. He knows how to use. I feel like he's gonna. I'm really keen to see what he does with this.
Yeah,
and what level of involvement is he's going to be.
Yeah. So, what have we heard anything on that World War Z 2 that he was meant to be doing?
Man, that's just been floating around. I don't know if that's
Dead in
been
the Water,
probably canned yet or not, but
yeah, I feel like that's just stop started a number of times. Let's have a look. What's going on there? But yeah, what are you thinking about this, Connor?
I love the idea. He's never done anything that's animated, right?
No.
So I think that's a really cool opportunity to see what he's gonna do with it. It's a completely new medium. And then, as we've always said, your limitations with animated or animation is kind of limitless, which makes it such a cool medium to work with. So it'll be interesting to see someone who is so specific in his filmmaking. Like, you never watch a Fincher film and get the sense that he's just there's definitely like constraints.
He's an auteur,
and it's a very specific thing.
He'll go into the triple digits for takes of scenes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Insane.
Like, you can say that everything's meticulous. With animation, I'm incredibly interested to see it. Like how if he's going to allow it to kind of be a little bit more. I don't even know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Weird and wacky, I suppose.
It'll be interesting to see his take on it. Another thing that interests me about this is the sci-fi angle here. Love, Death, and Robots. Fincher has only done one sci-fi film. Alien 3. And if you asked Mr. Fincher himself, he said, I didn't direct that film. So I'm really keen to see him get involved in science fiction a little more. Here we go. World War Z 2. In October 2018, producer D.D. Gardner confirmed that the sequel will begin filming in June 2019. Fincher directing.
We'll see about that.
Yeah, no promises, but yeah, I'm really pumped for this.
Do you want a fun fact? Tim Miller, director of Deadpool.
He's involved with this as well.
Designed the title sequence of Dragon Tattoo.
No way.
So that's how they know each other.
So has Tim?
Damn.
It might be a dumb question. Has Tim Miller done anything animated?
Yeah, he comes from the animation world.
Does he?
Deadpool was his first feature, right?
His first directorial feature, yeah.
And then he's doing the new Terminator
That's why
film.
it was a dumb question.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool.
Very encouraging.
Very encouraging.
This is saying that he did Goon as well. Oh, no, The Goon. All right.
So, yeah, he did a short
Is that based on the comic?
proof of concept
Cool.
adaptation that Fincher
remember
wanted
that.
to direct of The Goon, starring Clancy Brown and Paul Giamatti, I think, which unfortunately will never turn into an actual film, but very cool.
The Goon is a very strange comic.
Yeah. All right, next up, Dave Bautista has joined Denis Villeneuve's Dune. Anyone?
So, I mean, we've talked a little bit about him doing Dune. It feels very much in the vein of Blade Runner 2049.
Totally.
Kind of taking on a classic.
As in, it's not going to make any money.
Well,
Well, I
fuck,
hope
I
it
don't even
doesn't.
care if it does.
No,
Because,
totally.
I mean,
I hope
if
it
he
makes
puts the
sense.
same
I hope
kind
it
of
doesn't.
authenticity into Dune as he did into Blade Runner, then I'm fucking so down for this.
Totally. Yeah, it's cool to see them reuniting. And
Yeah.
he did a fantastic job for the minimal screen time he had in
Yeah.
Blade Runner. He made
Yeah.
a lot of impact in that film.
And in the short that he starred in
Yeah.
as well. Hopefully he gets a real role in this because he's I think he's got some stuff to really prove. I think he's better than any of us know yet.
Do you know what? This guy's mental, man. Like, Dave Bautista is an absolute animal when it comes to just taking life and running the gauntlet. He's a full-fledged actor. He's conquered the WWE, and he was in an MMA fight earlier this year. Like, he's just...
Was he really?
Yeah. It's absolutely incredibly impressive what this guy's been able to do with his
He was
career.
also the first man to climb Everest, I believe.
Yep.
Cartwheel up.
It's kind of bizarre how many like
Dave Bautista!
really successful people have come from the WWE world. Like, I mean, if you think
John
about
Cena.
John Cena,
Yeah.
The Rock, who is probably if you're talking about like, you know, someone that's really kind of taken life by the horns.
Yeah.
It's I mean,
By the
he's kind
bullhorns.
of the prime example. But
Because, you know, I think one reason why is the personal branding, they have to have that so dialed in that I
Yeah.
think that they really think that's one of their top of mind sort of things, you know, fitness and who am I and how am I different from the other roster of these other wrestlers?
Branding is more important than anything in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Certainly more than acting talent.
Most definitely.
well, obviously, yeah.
So evidently he's playing a character that is a really nasty piece of work. He's somebody's brother or something.
We don't know anything about Dune.
Yeah, I know nothing about
have
Dune.
either of you read?
No way.
God, no.
I've read 7 books.
It's, I mean, in
Harry
terms of
Potter 1 to
science
7.
fiction books, there's a reason that it's a classic. Like, it's a really good book. I haven't read any of the supplementary,
Yeah.
like sequels that apparently kind of aren't nearly as good. But this is a movie that I am so psyched
Me too.
to see on the big screen in terms of like just the scale and the kind of the. I mean, I'm interested to see Sandworms. I'm interested to see how he's
Shea
going to do that.
Hulud.
I'm interested to see how he's going to do a lot of the
How do you know
action
that off the
scenes.
top of your head?
How do you know that?
Well, I'm a fucking Dune nerd, number one.
Read every book
Yeah,
3 times?
One of
despite what I just said?
one of my favorite bands growing up was a hardcore band called Shea Hulud.
Cool.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'm totally with you, man. The spectacle here. Have you guys seen Jodorowsky's Dune?
The
That
documentary?
No, I've heard a lot about it.
I've heard it's terrible.
Don't listen to that, man. He's just drinking too much. It is such a cool movie, and it's just wets your whistle for. Is that the right term? I don't know.
Bit of Dune content.
Yeah, it is. It's I
for
suppose.
this upcoming June.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait for it. When is this coming out? I'm saying 2020 probably.
The sooner the better.
Denis Villeneuve, when are you going to arrive on our screens? Come on. Yeah, give me a minute.
IMDb, this guy always goes to. It's just,
Really?
Well, nothing came up on
I haven't
Wiki.
used
Nothing
IMDb.
came up on
Not
Wiki.
the
When
news.
have I ever
Not the site.
used? When have I ever used?
always.
They're on it
every
right
single
now.
time.
Well, that was a one-off. You've just chosen this scenario and extrapolated it for the rest of my life. Wikipedia, Denis Villeneuve. Fuck, this is tough, man. Oh,
Bringing
okay.
you the
There's
content.
no release date. There's no release date.
Okay. That was worth
To be
it.
decided. So there you go.
Come on, Denny. Let's get her done.
Let's do it.
Yeah, rush it out. Come on.
Yeah. Now we got something else.
Oh, what time is it?
It's trailer time.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, first of all, we have Captain Marvel, the new trailer.
Came out today.
Came out today.
Just came out.
Not in the vein of the other two trailers, which the first two trailers seemed very kind of operatic.
Quite serious.
Yeah, like kind of like, oh, like this is like Captain Marvel. How cool is this?
Especially that second one, I feel.
Yeah. And which I love. Like I'm so on board with that. I think it's really cool. This one seemed to be far more kind of about the dialogue, saying, "Hey guys, we're still Marvel. We're still
very
cheeky.
Marvel-y.
We're very, this is still the what you're expecting." So, which again, I'm okay with that.
I thought this is a really weak trailer. The last two Captain Marvel trailers have gotten me a little bit worried. I don't know.
The last two is in this and the last one.
Yeah, so there's been 3 trailers right now.
Yeah.
The first one really impressed me. It had a fantastic score and really just roped me in. And I feel like the last 2, for whatever reason, have not captured me. And I'm really like the dialogue between Nick Fury and Captain Marvel in this. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to really be like, oh yeah, these guys are riffing off each other and they're bouncing back and forth. Very limited footage here. So I'm not going to judge the whole movie on this. But as a trailer, I'm not totally impressed.
It's definitely a step down. Like I said, the first and second one were very operatic and big. So I think it's going to feel naturally like a bit of a, not whiplash per se, but certainly you're going to feel like it's slowing down. It's going to feel less spectacular than the first two. I by far enjoyed the second one more than the first.
This is funny. I like this one more than the other two by a lot.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is
How
George.
is
This
that?
is just
So you enjoyed the first one the most. I enjoyed
Yeah.
the second one the most, and you've enjoyed the third one the most.
yeah, like conversely to you, George. This is the first time I haven't been worried about Captain Marvel. I'm like, oh, it's
Nice.
cool. This is a Marvel movie. Looks like
Nice.
they're the same degree of control that they always do.
I hate that shot where she's on the train and she's blasting. They've used that every trailer. I just think that looks terrible.
Didn't even register it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of worried about Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
It might be just getting to that point where you have to worry about every Marvel movie.
But I'm not worried
because-
about Endgame.
Well, I mean, I think you should be.
I should be, but I'm not.
2018 was the beginning of the end for
I think
Marvel,
I
as
think
we've
we've-
established.
I think we've,
Aquaman's here.
Yeah.
DCEU's taken over.
I think we've been lulled into a false sense of security because Marvel was able to pull off this kind of impossible feat with Infinity War, where we just think, oh, they're invincible. They will be good forever.
No, Connor, I'm having flashbacks to Pixar.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
And
every
that's
dog has
seriously
its
what
day.
it is.
Every
And you're
dog
like,
has its day.
when Pixar was at the height of their game, it wasn't even possible to conceive of a time where Pixar wasn't like
Yeah.
when something came out from Pixar that you weren't just like, this is the best thing ever.
And then Brave happened.
Then fucking Brave and Cars happened.
Yeah, you skip right over Cars there.
Oh, yeah. Well, but Cars, I feel like they had a very... They had it had a different sort of niche. It was directly going for sort of
I think it was the beginning of the end.
under 5.
Cars is all right.
Because that was
nah,
that was a
mate.
movie.
Cars 2 was their first bad movie.
Yeah, but I think Cars 1 was a movie that was far more kind of marketed towards and built for kids.
Yeah.
and merchandising, and that's
Yes.
ironically where they made their most money.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Pixar lost its magic.
That's where the board goes. More of this, please.
Yes. Yep. This is easily merchandisable, and this is this has made lots of money. Let's keep on this.
Yeah, man.
Anyways.
I hope that doesn't happen, but Captain Marvel, I'm not convinced. And my boy Jude Law's in this. That always rubs me the wrong way. Always.
So,
You and like certain actors, if I don't like an actor, there's a very specific reason I don't like that actor. You have the weirdest reasons
I
for
do.
not liking it. Like Mark Strong.
I'm weird.
There
He's
are
too
any
prolific.
reasons for it.
Oh, fucking
No,
sorry.
he's
The man
overexposed.
the man. That's what.
No,
That's what I just
prolific
said.
is different to overexposed.
Oh, what do you mean overexposed?
His head's overexposed.
Is this like a boldest thing?
Oh
Maybe.
shit. Yeah, I
So why did you like this on the best? That really interests me.
I
I,
don't know.
felt so deflated after this trailer.
I've been in the sun all day. I'm a bit tired. I may just be confused. I thought Captain Marvel, like, it gave a little more shape to the story going on here. Captain Marvel had a little more character than I thought we've seen before. It really highlighted the fact that this is like a buddy movie between Marvel and Fury, which is cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a bit more finished effects in it and stuff. I don't know. And I guess I've just been hearing a bit more about this movie. I like the idea because there's been a lot of mystery around who Jude Law is actually playing, whether it is actually Marvel or now people are thinking he might actually be Yon-Rogg, the villain of the original Captain Marvel.
God, that would be a doozy, bro. If they go for Yon-Rogg, I'm gonna lose my marbles.
Holy shit! If I never thought I'd get to see in my lifetime Yon-Rogg on the big screen. I don't know anything about Yon-Rogg, but I think it seems fairly clear. Like, surely Jude Law's going to be the villain in this film because Mendo and the Skrulls feel like more henchmen things or whatever. They're barely in these things.
They're henchmen.
Yeah. I don't know. I just liked it. It worked for me.
Yep. All right. Well, next in our little list is Polar. The Mads Mikkelsen.
Which one was this
comic book? Yeah.
Polar and Arctic.
This is the
so
weird thing.
similar.
Like, there's two Mads Mikkelsen's trailer out this week. One is Polar, one is Arctic.
They've both got an ice
Two very
theme.
different films.
Tundra
Polar
theme.
is the one which is like the John Wick with more color.
Yeah.
Which is probably the best way I can describe this film. It's pretty much John Wick.
Did this guys remind you? Is this Did this
George is
remind
having a
you
stroke.
guys of Kick-Ass or even that Wanted movie from the noughties? Like, it had a very noughties kind of vibe.
Do you know what it reminded me of is Smoking Aces?
Okay. Yeah,
Which I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing.
For some reason, it just reminded me like this could have come. To me, this trailer looked like it could have come out, and this isn't a bad thing.
I wouldn't say no. This
could have come
naughties.
out.
This is like
This could have come out
early
10 years
2000.
ago, 2009,
Yeah.
2007.
It very much feels like that kind of film.
2011,
It
2010.
after watching the trailer, I
2008.
had a quick look at the director. It said, "What's his name? Complicated name. Is a Swedish, I think, director and drummer." And I was like, I'd buy that because this trailer it seemed very syncopated. Yeah. I really like this trailer. This looks awesome.
Too.
Based on a graphic novel I've never heard of. Whatever. Mads Mikkelsen needs to be done better by the movie industry.
Seriously,
You didn't
He's
like
so
Rogue
fucking
One?
talented.
I did not like Rogue One.
You didn't like him in Rogue One, bro.
I did not like him in Doctor Strange. I thought they cut out 90% of what his performance must have been because there was nothing there. He has such potential to be a great villain.
He's incredible.
And I just love that this is the return of One Eye, in modern day setting.
He's like, what did somebody say on social? He's kind of like John Wick with Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
I think they're embracing the comic book graphic novel aspect at a nice,
It looked like a lot
level.
of kind of split panels and stuff on screen. I don't know if that was just editing for the trailer or whatnot, but
So
it's
I'm starting to notice a trend with Mads Mikkelsen, which is that they're just fucking up his eye every time.
oh my god.
Well, because in Valhalla, his character is One Eye. In
Casino Royale,
Casino
he's
he
got the bleeding eye.
bleeds from his eye.
Le Chiffre.
Le Chiffre.
That's a pretty cool niche.
Yeah. I play really good one-eyed villains.
What is CV?
I don't know if like three characters makes a trend, but he's basically the next Sean Bean, except for bung
Except for
eyes.
eyeballs.
Yeah.
Oh, should we move swiftly?
Weird thing to notice.
Should we move swiftly into the
Arctic?
next? Yeah.
Which is another Mads Mikkelsen film, survival film, kind of like The Grey. There's not much to talk about in terms of this trailer because survival films, almost by necessity, are very minimalist. I feel like I know what this film will be. It will be 2 hours of me watching a screen going, oh, come on.
Damn.
Oh,
The trailer
shucks.
alone was just like bad thing after bad
Yeah.
thing, like almost comically bad.
that's what survival films are.
Yeah,
It's
the
just
bit where
like
he's
a
walking
bunch of
along and
really
he just
shitty things. Yeah.
it's like,
I was like, is this a comedy? Like, what? Was that a Mighty Boosh edge or something? Like, I don't know.
It's one of those things where you're just like, it's just going to be shitty thing after shitty thing happening to this guy.
But I think the immediately something that stood out about this trailer was this is a beautifully shot film. It looks really, really nicely put together.
But again, they usually are.
was that a real bear?
It looked like
It looked like a real bear. maybe I've
But there
just
was, like-
maybe I've just been scarred by Lost, which had like a stuffed animal for a polar bear. But yeah,
Cotton wool bear.
Yeah, no, it looked like at least some of the cutscenes were definitely a real bear. Yeah, so that's Arctic. We also had Punisher season 2 trailer. I was
Hype,
kind
hype,
of
hype.
a bit meh about the trailer, but very excited for Punisher 2.
Very intense sound design.
I love
Yeah.
this. I really love this. Sometimes that whole, like, this has no footage from this TV series in it. And sometimes that works and sometimes that doesn't work. But in this case, it really did.
It was very much like the trailer for
Daredevil.
Yeah.
And they're sort of spinning around those two characters, Punisher and what's the other guy's
Is that a
name?
character that we've seen before?
Yeah, he was the main bad
He's
guy.
the villain from the first season.
I genuinely just cannot remember the Punisher.
Okay, can we talk about Jigsaw for a moment and how badly they've fucked up?
The mask looks terrible.
Well, the mask, his face, he looks fine. Like, his face was shredded at the end
Yeah.
of that. Look up a picture of what
Yeah.
Jigsaw is meant to look
Yeah,
like
but
and
don't-
what he looked like in the last film.
Yeah, but don't you think that was almost like, I think they will, for me, it was almost like that was reminding you of season 1. I don't think that's how he's going to be appearing in season 2.
Oh, that's
is.
right.
Really?
No. Yeah, that's what he looks like in the scene. Yeah, there's set photos.
Really?
Yeah, he's barely scarred at all. Like, he's meant to look
Yeah, 'cause he was
like
fucked.
Yeah, he got torn apart. He's meant to look like an absolute monster.
So I'm looking at the
Really?
photo of
Yeah,
him.
that's what he
in
looks
the-
like. It's so weird for like the Netflix Marvel series and especially Punisher are so extreme. You know, with like a fucking
Well,
triple
this is
X.
the one to go for it.
Yeah,
And
so
it's like,
this is
yeah.
not.
Why didn't they?
Yeah, that's. I mean, I don't understand how that suddenly turned into what. I've clearly just not.
And in the trailer, he's like, "I'm a hideous monster now," and it's
Like-
like, no, you still look like Ben, fucking whatever his name is.
That's okay. That's not acceptable. That's got. I'm sorry. There's on Instagram or no Twitter. There's a moving trailer of like his progression, but it's so fast. It's really disconcerting. I don't like it.
We'll see. We'll see.
Fuck is that?
We'll see what happens here.
Who made this and thought this is a good idea to put on social media? Fuck
Netflix.
you, whoever you are.
Netflix.
So this is one of the last Netflix Marvel series we're going to get, undoubtedly.
Surely. Yeah.
There's just going to be this and Jessica Jones season 3, I assume.
I'm pumped for this.
Yeah. Oh no, me too. Actually, after all my like little rant there,
Yeah.
love the first season. Possibly still a little overlong as these things are, but less so than the others.
Nice.
Yeah. It's kind of sad that we're losing Marvel Netflix.
I really hope they hold on to the actors and the characters.
And then move it on to we've talked about what we'd like to see out of this,
yeah.
and which means we will inevitably be wrong.
Yeah.
We've been wrong pretty much every step of the way.
Analysis.
And now it's Watchmen, sort of. We got a
3
very
seconds.
short clip of Watchmen during the HBO. This is what we're releasing this year. Also got to see some Game of Thrones, but not too much to talk to. But it's just cool that this is actually happening.
So we see Jeremy Irons as an older
Ozymandias.
Ozymandias, who would brilliant casting, so much better than Matthew Good from the film, who's one of the big weak links in that. And we also see we got to look at a Rorschach character, who of course
imitator
should be
or
dead at this point in the
maybe
timeline.
a son.
It's probably just someone picking up the mantle, I guess. Didn't like comparatively to the Snyder film, didn't like the look at all of that character.
It's
but
hard to compare with that look though, because it was so. I mean, it was just so good.
It's perfect. It was right off the page. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really keen for this
I'm
series.
really keen.
Our old mates Atticus,
Yeah.
and
Trent Reznor are on this.
Yeah,
Gives me so much confidence, man.
Yeah,
And to everything the leftovers, the one thing that has been worrying me about this is our friend, what the fuck is his name?
Damon
Lindelof. Damon Lindelof. He's worried me a little bit, but evidently the leftovers has just completely wiped out everyone's concerns with Watchmen. So, damn, I'm pumped. And I can't believe it's coming out this year
hell yeah.
on HBO. Yeah. Well, there we have it, guys. Weekly show all wrapped up. We're not going to do a question of the week because we're going to be running down the most anticipated films of 2019. So definitely go check that out and follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, YouTube,
Twitter.
Are we on Twitter?
No.
You can look for us.
Somebody else might take it. Who knows? But we'll be
They
back
just
next
did.
week, back to normal, with How to Train Your Dragon 3 review.
How to Train Your Dragon.
The Hidden Realm. What's that movie called?
The Hidden World?
The Dragon
Realm?
Place.
Toothless,
I'm
the
interested
movie.
to see what you guys think.
Fallen Kingdom.
Because I watched it because we were meant to be doing it this week.
Well, Life gets in the way.
Yeah.
Benny. And I'll see you next week, Connor.
Bye.
I'll see you next week, Benny.
Bye. Bye.